So I spend a lot of time on Reddit because apparently I have a lot of time on my hands to waste. And I spend a lot of it in the podcasting forums because, well, podcasting, whatever. And a common question that just gets asked after time after time after time by people that come into the subreddits who apparently can't be bothered to Google this shit for themselves is, how do you become a podcaster? And the simple answer is you buy a microphone, you record yourself talking into it, and you find some place to publish it with an RSS feed, and boom, you're a podcaster. But that's not what they want to hear. They want to know, how do you become famous? How do you become Joe Rogan or whoever that is? Short answer is you're not. But it made me think of my early dreams of being on the radio, because that was something that I wanted to be. I wanted to be like Howard Stern or Don and Mike. I wanted to be a radio star. I want to be a shock jock. My friend Eric and I had a fake radio show that we used to do, recording it on the computer in California. And trust me, those files are still in existence, but they will never be released to the world unless, of course, Eric becomes extremely rich and famous and I find the need to blackmail him. Don't worry, buddy. Chances are you'll never become that rich. But it made me think of my desire to want to be on the radio. And so I had gotten out of the military in 97, burned through like $35,000 in a year smoking pot, chasing women, and just having the time of my life. And woo, boy, that was fun. And I'd eventually, run out of money, and I had to move back to the East Coast where my parents were to move in with my mom and dad because, life choices. And it was fine. It was fine. It was only for a few weeks, and I moved in with my friends. It was all good. But in those few weeks that I was there, living with my mom and dad, I was trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life, because I was pretty sure this whole being a cop thing wasn't for me anymore, because it never really was. And I remembered that I had a dream of being on the radio. And I also remembered something else, that most of my young life I had seen either in print ads or on radio ads or television ads, something for a place that would teach you how to be a radio DJ called the Columbia School of Broadcasting. Not affiliated with CBS Television and Radio. They were pretty clear about that in their ads. And their pitch is that they would teach you how to be a sports reporter or a news reporter or a radio DJ at the Columbia School of Broadcasting. So I thought to myself, well, who knows? Let me look into this. So I grabbed the Yellow Pages, which was a thing we had at the time, and I flipped to the C's, and by God, there it was, right just maybe 15 miles from where my parents' house was in the D.C. suburbs in Fairfax, Virginia, a Columbia School of Broadcasting. So I dialed the number on the phone number in the book, and I talked to a guy and was like, "Hey, I'd like to be on the radio." He was like, "Absolutely, come by my office Tuesday at 11 a.m. and we'll put you on the radio." And so I showed up at the address that he gave me, and I wasn't expecting it to be in a. Well, I didn't think it was going to be on like a university campus, but I also didn't think it was going to be like a strip mall, which is exactly what it was. And by strip mall, I mean exactly what you think I mean. It's Little Caesars Pizza, cigarette shop, karate dojo, and in a building without a sign on the top, just on the door, the Columbia School of Broadcasting. And so I opened that door and I walked inside and I met a gentleman that you are probably familiar with WKRP in Cincinnati, Herb Tarlick, the guy that wear the loud clothes. It was the sales manager for the station. Well, the guy that I met at the Columbia School of Broadcasting looked like Herb Tarlick 30 years later, and bald. And he brought me back into his office, which kind of, no, not even kind of, it looked exactly like it should have been a prison. It had a metal desk and a metal chair, and he sat down at his desk and he said, "You want to be on the radio? We can help you with that." And I said, "Great, fantastic. What does it involve?" And he says, "Well, he reaches into his desk and he pulls out one of those plastic brick cassette recorders, puts it on the desk, and about a half dozen or so audio cassettes, puts that on top of the cassette recorders, and then takes out a blue mimeographed folio handout with a spiral binding on it, and puts that on top of it, and it says course level 1. And he says, this is how I'm going to do it. And I was like, okay. And I was like, and I'm looking around the place, and it was just this office, maybe a bathroom and a back room. And I was like, so, where's the studio? Where's the broadcast booth? Where will I learn how to actually, operate all the things that come with being on the radio? And it's like, oh, no. You're not understanding. We're not teaching you radio production here. We're teaching you radio performance. And I was like, what? And he's like, you take this home, you read the coursework, and you record the course exercises, then you bring them back to me, and I will give you feedback on it, and that'll be $500. And I was like, $500 for 6 cassettes and a mimeographed booklet? And he's like, yep. To start, I mean, the courses get more expensive after that. And I was like, and at no time will I be in a studio learning how to operate. He said, no, that's not what we do here. But, we'll teach you. And he, again, list off these semi-famous radio names that I kind of sort of knew but didn't really. He's like, you'll be just like them. And I was like, so there's job placement services with this. And pod friends, the look on that poor bastard's face was one of both contempt for me and contempt for himself. Because if there were job placement services with the Columbia School of Broadcasting, do you think this poor sad sack Herb Tarlick wannabe would be running a Columbia School of Broadcasting franchise in Fairfax, Virginia in 1998? No, he would have been on the radio. And I said, sir, thank you for your time. I will think about this, and I will get back to you. And I got up, and I walked out and left the strip mall and left my dreams of going to the Columbia School of Broadcasting behind. But here's the thing. Years later, when I did decide, and this goes back to what I meant, how do you become a podcaster? When I originally decided to record a podcast for the first time, and I bought a microphone, and I plugged it into a computer, which in essence is just a fancier version of that brick audio cassette recorder, and recorded my first shows to people who weren't there and having no fucking clue what I was doing. I was essentially doing exactly what old Herb there at the Columbia School of Broadcasting had wanted me to do, except, I didn't have to pay $500 to do it. So, should really look up the old Columbia School of Broadcasting commercials to see if I can find them. And if anybody wants to pay me $500 for podcasting lessons, I will absolutely at least teach you how to run a mixing board. So this has been fun with Dave, a little what the hell were you thinking history, and yeah. Just a cassette recorder and a prison office. Good times.
Hello, this is Joe Gillespie, here to discuss with you the possibility of your getting into the professional broadcasting field. Right at this moment, we don't know whether you can be trained to be a successful professional announcer. Not everyone who wants to become an announcer has the abilities that are required of a professional.
Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.